With profound humble gratitude and love to all venerated enlightened masters, we bow to the Almighty in soulful gratefulness for gifting us with their holy blessed presence. May all beings be awakened by their divine grace. Etc.
Welcome to Selected Sutras on the Venerated Maudgalyayana Vegan, Part 1 of 2 on Words of Wisdom. Buddha, Vegan, also known as Gautama Buddha or Shakyamuni Buddha, was an extraordinary spiritual master from ancient India. Born as Prince Siddhartha Gautama in the 5th century BC, he would have naturally inherited the vast wealth of a kingdom. However, the prince left palace life in search of spiritual knowledge. After years of contemplative seeking, the Buddha attained great enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. He then shared the merits of his practice by providing a method for other sentient beings to be freed from the cycle of death and rebirth. The rich treasury of Buddha's spiritual doctrine on universal truths is studied and revered to this day for its deep wisdom and compassion. Shakyamuni Buddha had thousands of disciples during his lifetime. However, there are 10 principal disciples who have been especially respected and revered for helping to spread the Dharma through the qualities that they possessed. These 10 disciples are the Venerated Sariputra, the Venerated Maudgalyayana, the Venerated Mahakashyapa, the Venerated Subhuti, the Venerated Purnamaitrayani Putra, the Venerated Katyayana, the Venerated Anuruddha, the Venerated Upali, the Venerated Rahula, and the Venerated Ananda, all vegans. Today, we would like to focus on the Venerated Maudgalyayana, vegan, a master of supernatural powers. He was one of the 2 chief disciples of Shakyamuni Buddha who was entrusted to provide guidance to other monks on their spiritual path. The Venerated Sariputra, vegan, the other chief disciple, was likened to a mother who provided wisdom and training to the monks, and the Venerated Maudgalyayana was likened to a nurse who supported them in their practice of meditation and liberation of the mind. He is also connected to the Buddhist wheel of life and is renowned for his teachings on the afterlife. Both the Mahayana and Theravada traditions have many sutras focusing on the teachings and good works of the Venerated Maudgalyayana. For the first part of this show, we are honored to present selections from Mahayana's the Ulambana Sutra, which demonstrates the Venerated Maudgalyayana's filial piety to his mother, as he requests the help of Lord Buddha and the Sangha to save her from hell. She went to hell for slandering the Buddha and deceiving monks into eating animal people flesh while she was living. The Ulambana Sutra. The Buddha speaks the Ulambana Sutra. Thus, I have heard, at one time, the Buddha dwelt at Sravasti in the garden of the benefactor of orphans and the solitary. Maudgalyayana had just obtained the 6 penetrations and wished to cross over his father and mother to repay their kindness for raising him. Thus, using his way eye, he regarded the world and saw that his deceased mother had been born among the hungry ghosts. Having neither food nor drink, she was but skin and bones. Maudgalyayana felt deep pity and sadness, filled a bowl with food, and went to provide for his mother. She got the bowl, screened it with her left hand, and with her right hand made a feast of food. But before it entered her mouth, it turned into burning coals which could not be eaten. Maudgalyayana called out and wept sorrowfully, and hastened to return to the Buddha to set forth all of these. The Buddha said, "Your mother's offenses are deep and firmly rooted. You alone do not have enough power. Although your filial sounds move heaven and earth, the heaven spirits, the earth spirits, twisted demons, and those outside the way, Brahmans, and the 4 heavenly king gods are also without sufficient strength. The awesome spiritual power of the assembled Sangha of the 10 directions is necessary for the liberation to be attained. I shall now speak a Dharma of rescue, which causes all those in difficulty to leave worry and suffering, and to eradicate obstacles from offenses." The Buddha told Maudgalyayana, "The 15th day of the 7th month is the Pravarana day of the assembled Sangha of the 10 directions. For the sake of fathers and mothers of 7 generations past, as well as for fathers and mothers of the present who are in distress, you should prepare an offering of clean basins full of hundreds of flavors and the 5 fruits, and other offerings of incense, oil, lamps, candles, beds, and bedding, all the best of the world, to the greatly virtuous assembled Sangha of the 10 directions. On that day, all the holy assembly, whether in the mountains practicing dhyana samadhi, or obtaining the 4 fruits of the way, or walking beneath trees, or using the independence of the 6 penetrations to teach and transform sound hearers and those enlightened to conditions, or provisionally manifesting as bhikshus, when in fact they are great bodhisattvas on the 10th ground, all complete in pure precepts and ocean-like virtue of the holy way, should gather in a great assembly, and all of like mind receive the Pravarana food. If one thus makes offerings to these Pravarana Sangha, one's present father and mother, parents of 7 generations, as well as the 6 kinds of close relatives, will escape from the 3 paths of sufferings, and at that time attain release. Their clothing and food will spontaneously appear. If the parents are still alive, they will have wealth and blessings for 100 years. Parents of 7 generations will be born in the heavens. Transformationally born, they will independently enter the celestial flower light and experience limitless bliss. At that time, the Buddha commanded the assembled Sangha of the 10 directions to recite mantras and vows for the sake of the donor's family, for parents of 7 generations. After practicing dhyana concentration, they then may accept the food. When first receiving the basin, place it before the Buddha in the stupa. When the assembled Sangha has finished the mantras and vows, then they may accept it. At that time, the Bhikshu Maudgalyayana and the assembly of great bodhisattvas were all extremely delighted, and the sorrowful sound of Maudgalyayana's crying ceased. At that time, Maudgalyayana's mother obtained liberation from 1 kalpa of suffering as a hungry ghost. Maudgalyayana addressed the Buddha and said, "These disciples' parents have received the power of the merit and virtue of the Triple Jewel because of the awesome spiritual power of the assembled Sangha. If in the future the Buddha's disciples practice filial behavior by offering up the Ulambana basins, will they be able to cross over their present fathers and mothers as well as those of 7 generations past. The Buddha replied, "Good indeed. I am happy you asked that question. I just wanted to speak about that, and now you have also asked about it. Good man, if bhikshus, bhikshunis, kings, crown princes, great ministers, great officials, cabinet members, the hundreds of officers, and the tens of thousands of citizens wish to practice compassionate filial conduct for the sake of the parents who bore them, as well as for the sake of fathers and mothers of 7 lives past. On the 15th day of the 7th month, the day of the Buddha's delight, the day of the Sangha's pravarana, they all should place hundreds of flavors of foods in the Ulambana basins and offer them to the pravarana Sangha of the 10 directions. They should vow to cause the length of life of the present father and mother to reach 100 years without illness, without sufferings, afflictions, or worries, and also vow to cause 7 generations of fathers and mothers to live the sufferings of the hungry ghosts, to be born among men and gods, and to have blessings and bliss without limit. The Buddha told all the good men and good women, those disciples of the Buddha who cultivate filial conduct should in thought after thought constantly recall their present fathers and mothers when making offerings, as well as the fathers and mothers of 7 lives past. Every year, on the 15th day of the 7th month, they should always, out of filial compassion, recall their parents who bore them, and those of 7 lives past, and for their sakes perform the offering of the Ulambana basin to the Buddha and the Sangha, and thus repay the loving kindness of the parents who raised and nourished them. All Buddha's disciples should respectfully receive this Dharma. At that time, the Bhikshu, Maudgalyayana, and the fourfold assembly of disciples, hearing what the Buddha said, practiced it with delight. For the second part of this show, we are delighted to present selections from the Theravada's Sakha Sutta in the Samyutta Nikaya, where the Venerated Maudgalyayana went up to the heavenly realms to encourage the heavenly beings to take refuge in Lord Buddha. With Sakha. And then Venerable Mahamoggalana, as easily as a strong person would extend or contract their arm, vanished from Jeta's grove and reappeared among the gods of the 33. Then Sakha, Lord of gods, with 500 deities, came up to Mahamoggalana, bowed, and stood to one side. Mahamoggalana said to him, "Lord of gods, it's good to go for refuge to the Buddha. It's the reason why some sentient beings, when their body breaks up after death, are reborn in a good place, a heavenly realm. It's good to go for refuge to the teaching. It's the reason why some sentient beings, when their body breaks up after death, are reborn in a good place, a heavenly realm. It's good to go for refuge to the Sangha. It's the reason why some sentient beings, when their body breaks up after death, are reborn in a good place, a heavenly realm." My good Moggallana, it's good to go for refuge to the Buddha, the teaching, the Sangha. It's the reason why some sentient beings, when their body breaks up after death, are reborn in a good place, a heavenly realm. Then Sakha, Lord of gods, with 500 deities, came up to Mahamoggalana, bowed, and stood to one side. Mahamoggalana said to him, "Lord of gods, it's good to have experiential confidence in the Buddha. That blessed one is perfected, a fully awakened Buddha, accomplished in knowledge and conduct, holy, noble of the world, supreme guide for those who wish to train, teacher of gods and humans, awakened, blessed. It's the reason why some sentient beings, when their body breaks up after death, are reborn in a good place, a heavenly realm. It's good to have experiential confidence in the teaching. The teaching is well explained by the Buddha, apparent in the present life, immediately effective, inviting inspection, relevant, so that sensible people can know it for themselves. It's the reason why some sentient beings, when their body breaks up after death, are reborn in a good place, a heavenly realm. It's good to have experiential confidence in the Sangha. The Sangha of the Buddha's disciples is practicing the way that's good, direct, systematic, and proper. It consists of the 4 pairs, the 8 individuals. This is the Sangha of the Buddha's disciples that is worthy of offerings dedicated to the gods, worthy of hospitality, worthy of a religious donation, worthy of greeting with joint palms, and is the supreme field of merit for the world. It's the reason why some sentient beings, when their body breaks up after death, are reborn in a good place, a heavenly realm. It's good to have the ethical conduct that's loved by the noble ones, unbroken, impeccable, spotless, and unmarred, liberating, praised by sensible people, not mistaken, and leading to immersion. It's the reason why some sentient beings, when their body breaks up after death, are reborn in a good place, a heavenly realm. My good Moggallana, it's good to have experiential confidence in the Buddha, the teaching, the Sangha, and to have the ethical conduct that's loved by the noble ones. It's the reason why some sentient beings, when their body breaks up after death, are reborn in a good place, a heavenly realm. Then Sakka, Lord of Gods, with 500 deities, came up to Moggallana, bowed, and stood to one side. Moggallana said to him, Lord of Gods, it's good to go for refuge to the Buddha. It's the reason why some sentient beings, when their body breaks up after death, are reborn in a good place, a heavenly realm. They surpass other gods in 10 respects: heavenly lifespan, beauty, happiness, glory, sovereignty, sights, sounds, smells, tastes, and touches. It's good to go for refuge to the teaching. It's good to go for refuge to the Sangha. It's the reason why some sentient beings, when their body breaks up after death, are reborn in a good place, a heavenly realm. They surpass other gods in 10 respects: heavenly lifespan, beauty, happiness, glory, sovereignty, sights, sounds, smells, tastes, and touches. My good Moggallana, it's good to go for refuge to the Buddha. Then Sakka, Lord of Gods, with 500 deities, came up to Moggallana, bowed, and stood to one side. Moggallana said to him, Lord of Gods, it's good to have experiential confidence in the Buddha. That blessed one is perfected, a fully awakened Buddha, teacher of gods and humans, awakened, blessed. It's the reason why some sentient beings, when their body breaks up after death, are reborn in a good place, a heavenly realm. They surpass other gods in 10 respects: heavenly lifespan, beauty, happiness, glory, sovereignty, sights, sounds, smells, tastes, and touches. It's good to have experiential confidence in the teaching. It's good to have experiential confidence in the Sangha. It's good to have the ethical conduct that's loved by the noble ones. My good Moggallana, it's good to have experiential confidence in the Buddha. For more information, please visit suttacentral.net.
Vegan leader, who else?
Faithful viewers, it was a joy that you could join us today for Words of Wisdom. Coming up next is In Peace, We Can Attain Heaven, Part 15 of 16. May Lord Buddha's teachings encourage us to strive towards enlightenment.
Being vegan, having peace, heaven Godspeed.